Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal and welcome back to another week. It is Monday, which means we are certainly halfway through the international break, and it means we can certainly start turning our attention to Sunday's mouth-watering top-of-the-table clash against Manchester City at the Etihad. So we are going to talk about that game in today's show. We're going to start looking at some of the decisions facing Mikel Arteta ahead of that game against Manchester City. I'd love to get your thoughts on what we talk about in terms of who should be starting in this game. Some big decisions for Arteta to make in terms of who starts and who he leaves on the bench. Anything you hear in this show and you want to discuss it, let me know in the comments below. Give me your opinions, give me your comments, give me your questions, and we'll have a really good debate ahead of this game as we build up to Sunday's match. Some other things to catch up on in today's show as well. We'll do the international roundup, of course. Got plenty of questions and comments from you guys as well. Right, let's get started, shall we? And let's start focusing on that massive game against Manchester City on Sunday, just 6 days away now. Bit early, especially as there's another team involved in this title race, to call it a title decider. But if Arsenal can go to the Etihad and win, then wow, that will be some statement ahead of this crucial run-in, especially as everyone's looking at Arsenal's fixtures and thinking they are certainly the outsiders of the three going for the title, despite them sitting top at the moment. Arsenal's really tricky away games to come. First to City, then you've got Trafford, then you've got Spurs. You know, difficult places to go where they've struggled in the past. But if Arsenal can go to Man City and win, do the league double over them this season, it will be a huge statement, and what a confidence boost that will give ahead of the other really crucial games. But what's Mikel going to do? He's got some big decisions to make. We don't know yet about Gabriel Martinelli. I have to admit, I heard nothing so far on Martinelli and his fitness and whether he's going to make it for this game or not. Still some time to find out about that as we progress during the week. Might well hear some whisperings as we head towards the weekend. But for now, Arsenal keeping very closed, sort of tight ranks over what's going on with Martinelli. We know he didn't go to Brazil. He was at Wembley at the weekend to watch Brazil versus Arsenal. The word we got initially after the injury, even when he was on crutches, was that we don't think it's too bad. It's just precautionary, and that they were hoping he was going to be ready for Manchester City. But, you know, you have to think he's a doubt given how bad he looked while he was walking through the stadium on crutches against Porto. So what do you do? I think you would think this is one of the easier decisions facing Mikel. If Martinelli doesn't make it, there is an opportunity potentially to play Gabriel Jesus against his former club, put him out wide, stick with Kai Havertz up front. I think you're probably going to go with Leandro Trossard, though, aren't you? Or Mikel will probably go with Leandro Trossard. Scored against Porto. Didn't have the best of games against Porto, but scored the crucial goal. And you know, in this Arsenal squad, if a chance falls to someone in and around the penalty area, Leandro Trossard's right on the top of your list of who you want that chance to fall to, because he's such a good finisher. He tends to score when he gets opportunities in big games as well. So I'd be backing Leandro Trossard to start at left on the left-hand side of the attack if Gabriel Martinelli doesn't make it. Of course, whoever does play on the left-hand side might well be without Kyle Walker, might well not be against Kyle Walker, which would be a big boost for them. We'll talk about Walker's injury a little bit later on in the show. So let me know who you think who should start at left back. In midfield, I'd be going with Jorginho. I have to say, I think Jorginho has to start this game. I know Thomas Partey's back and he's available, and he played for 64 minutes, was it, in that behind closed doors friendly against QPR to try and get his fitness levels up. But the way Jorginho's playing, he's played in all the big games this season. He's played really well in all the big games this season. I wouldn't be messing with that right now. I just think it'd be too big of a risk. You know, as Partey's been getting closer to fitness, I've always thought, you know, just get him fit for the Etihad. That's absolutely crucial. But what we've seen from Partey in the very few glimpses we've had of him since he's come back, I just wouldn't feel confident playing him against City. I just think he looks too rusty. And in a game like this, of this magnitude, you don't want someone searching for fitness in that game. You want everyone fit and ready. Jorginho played last night. He started for Italy, came off at about 64 minutes, I think, 70 minutes. And so, you know, he's fine. He's no injuries by all accounts. So I'll be getting him back, and he starts this one for me in the middle. And that means you've got Martin Odegaard and Declan Rice playing in those two positions ahead of him for me. And then the left back decision, what do you do? Kivior's been playing so well. Do you play Kivior? Do you play Zinchenko? Do you play Tomiyasu? Tomiyasu got 45 minutes against QPR in that behind closed doors friendly as well. Some real big decisions. Again, personally, I'd be sticking with Kivior. I just think he's been playing so well. The defences look so settled as a result of having White, Saliba, Gabriel and Kivior there, that I wouldn't be taking any risks. As much as Tomiyasu, I think, is the best out of the lot when it comes to out-and-out defending in that position. Again, I'm just not sure. I wouldn't back his fitness levels in this game. So I'd be going with Kivior and having Zinchenko and Tomiyasu on the bench. Do let me know anything you've heard about. Let me know. Respond in the comments below. Gabriel, we don't know yet on his injury. He pulled out. I think he's going to be fit. Bukayo Saka, I think he's going to be fit as well. Actually, I've had a question about Bukayo Saka. I'll go back to these ones. From Jim says, anything on Saka? Is he okay after pulling out the England squad? Haven't heard anything about him since. Look, all I can say is what I heard at the time when I was speaking to people at Arsenal about it, and they were saying it's nothing serious. It is just precautionary. It's a slight muscle injury, and the signs were at that point that he was going to be okay to play against Manchester City. So I'm expecting him to be fit against Manchester City. I'm expecting Gabriel to be fit against Manchester City as well. Fingers crossed that all carries on. Arsenal will continue to work on the pair during the next week or so. There's still 6 days to go. And I think they'll both be fit. So I'd be surprised if they're not. Teta98 here says, hi, Charles. I know it's some time away, but how would you line up against City, assuming all are hopefully back fit? Few interesting decisions to be made at left back, Tommy, Kivior, centre midfield, Havertz, Georgie, Partey, left wing and striker 2. John says, for the City match, I'd like to stick mostly with the lineup that beat City and the won 6-0 against Sheffield United, the most recent big win. Definite starters, Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Odegaard, Jorginho, Rice and Saka. Options, Kivior or Zinchenko or Tomiyasu, Havertz or Jesus, Martinelli or Trossard. A lot depends on who has recovered from injury and is ready to go against City. Kivior has been great, but from a defensive perspective, Tomiyasu would be better. And from an attacking perspective, Zinchenko would be better. Although Kivior has done nothing wrong to deserve losing his starting spot. Havertz is doing so well that he deserves to start, and he's higher, and he's on a high from Germany performance too. Martinelli is injured. Trossard has done great recently, so I'd go with Trossard. And if Martinelli is recovered enough, use him as a super sub. Yeah, I can't really disagree with any of that, John. I have to say, Teta98 there, when he's saying what would your lineup be? It'd be the same as John. It'd be the same team, I think, that beat Liverpool and that won at Sheffield United. So even if players are back fit, I think I'd be going. Well, if Martinelli's 100% fit and deemed 100% fit, then I'd start Martinelli. But if he's not, then I'll start Trossard. That's the only one I'd be sort of umming and ahhing about at the moment. So it all depends on Martinelli's fitness. So my 11 right now would be Raya in goal, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Kivior, Jorginho, Rice and Odegaard, Saka, Havertz and Martinelli. But if Martinelli's not fit and they think he's not good enough to start, then I'd be playing Trossard and I'd have Martinelli on the bench to come on and really give it a go. And those subs are going to be really important. Yes, the starting 11 is important, but I think in a game like this, the subs could be absolutely huge. So you're looking at players like potentially Tomiyasu coming on, potentially Zinchenko coming on if you need someone to get on the ball and start trying to open them up a little bit more. All those sort of players. The subs are going to be really, really important. Thomas Partey even. You think back to the Man City game when Arsenal won 1-0 against City earlier in the season. Partey came off the bench that game and had a huge impact on it with the ball over the top for Havertz, who set up the winner for Martinelli. So the subs are going to be equally as important as the starting 11 in this game. And a lot just depends on the injuries. But for now, that would be my starting 11. And if you agree, let me know in the comments below. If you disagree, let me know in the comments below. But thank you, Teta and John Scarrett, for getting in touch there. I've already had my say on Saka, but that is just fingers crossed, isn't it? Saka's so important. Although, having said that, Arsenal beat Manchester City early on in the season. There was no Saka involved in that game, was it? He was injured at that point. So he had Jesus starting on the right, I think, in that game against City. So all is not lost if Saka doesn't make it. But from all accounts, there is certainly confidence that Saka will be fit for Arsenal. Right, moving on. Manchester City is obviously a huge game, but so is Bayern Munich that is coming up. There's lots of injury doubts around Bayern Munich at the moment. Harry Kane, especially with that ankle injury that ruled him out against England. Manuel Neuer missed out for Germany, but we had a bit of an update from on Manuel Neuer from, I can't believe I've forgotten the Germany manager's Nagelsmann. I've forgotten his name. Nagelsmann has been speaking about it, and he seems to suggest that Neuer will be fine for the Arsenal game. He says it's just a muscle fibre tear. He won't be out for 8 months, so I don't change my opinion. I told Mark that, and I'm thankful to have him. He's talking about Mark ter Stegen there. He says now he has the chance to be there, but that doesn't change my decision. Manuel will be out for 10 days. So if he's only out for 10 days, then you'd think he's certainly going to be fit for the second leg, but probably the first leg as well of that Champions League time. We'll wait and see what happens with Harry Kane. Just going back to Man City, Kyle Walker tweeted after the game, after his injury yesterday, saying he was frustrated by the injury, hopes to be back soon. But I'd be very surprised if Kyle Walker's fit enough for Arsenal. You'd imagine, though, if he's not, then it's probably be a Kanji at right back for Manchester City. Actually, I mean, Kyle Walker didn't even start the Champions League final against Inter Milan, did he? Pep decided he went with Kanji in that game. So if he's not fit, you'd imagine whoever starts on Arsenal's left-hand side will probably be up against Akanji. Elsewhere, before we move on to a couple more of your comments and questions, Arsenal women, big comeback win yesterday, winning 3-1 at Aston Villa. If you're watching on YouTube, I love this photo of the celebrations after the second goal. It's one of those photos you can just look at all the faces in the crowd and go through them and see a different expression on each of their faces. And really big win for Arsenal that needed to win. They were 1-0 down at half-time, staring at another really disappointing result, but fair play to them. Came back 1-3-1 and just about kept in touch in the title race. You think it's gone, chances of the title, though. It's going to be Man City or Chelsea who win that title. 6 points is a big difference. But Arsenal certainly maintain that big gap they have over against Liverpool in fourth in the battle for the Champions League spaces. I think they're 8 points clear of Liverpool. So big win for Arsenal and a sort of much needed confidence boost after some disappointing results. So yeah, fair play to them. Really good comeback from the women. Theo here says, in regards to the conversation about Zinchenko, this is about the left-back position for Arsenal. He said, I think that Timber is intended to be our starting left-back with Tomiyasu as backup unless already selected to start on the right, followed by Kivior, who's a defender first and foremost, and isn't a midfielder as Zinchenko really is, and is there to be utilised when the force of numbers in midfield is a requirement, but is effectively now fourth choice left-back. Secondly, I think it'd be straight out of Arteta's wheelhouse to now use the Ukrainian like an addition to the midfield roster as an option, since he's proven his effectiveness operating from there, but without worry of his defensive frailty being a compromising factor to our defensive solidarity. So this is what we were talking about yesterday in terms of what Arteta's long-term plans for the left-back would be now from sort of next season onwards. Would it be Timber as the starting left-back? And I'm saying we just don't know yet because we just haven't seen enough of Timber to work out what Arteta's plan is. And I've probably felt that it would still be Zinchenko starting at left-back at the start of next season. But the left 8 role is just really interesting. No one's nailed that down. Havertz has been great recently, but his best performances has been as a central striker, although he has played well when he's played in that 8 role as well. But I do look at that position as a position that Zinchenko is good enough to play in. And like you said, it maybe takes out a little bit. He'd be starting higher up the pitch, which maybe Arteta doesn't like as much. He wants him in slightly more deeper positions coming from that inverted left-back position. But it does feel like he could play really well there. He could be really, really useful to Arsenal in that role. So it's definitely an interesting thing to consider going forward next season. If Timber does end up being the starting left back, that does free up Zinchenko to play certainly more in the left 8 role, because we just haven't seen it at all. And I remember asking Arteta about it and he said he can play there. Well, we know he can play there because we see him do it for Ukraine. He does it very well there. And it just feels like a good position for Zinchenko. So it'll be very, very interesting to see if that is something we see more of next season, if Tomiyasu or Timber do become the first choice left back. Adam here says, as a French guy, and this is in response to what we were talking about Saliba yesterday and how I just get so baffled that he's not a starter for France in their sort of big games at the moment. He's still sitting on the bench behind the likes of Upamecano and Canate. And Adam says, as a French guy here, I'm also frustrated that Saliba isn't playing for France, but it's true he hasn't convinced yet on the international stage. I understand the Upamecano choice, but not really the Pavard choice. For me, he isn't really suited for the back four. However, in this game, it was midfield who struggled. This was the Germany match that Germany won 2-0. Losing from the 10th second, there wasn't really a point of bringing on a defender. All in all, I hope he plays the next match, and I really think he has a chance for the Euros, although Canate is a solid contender. Yeah, Saliba's birthday yesterday, 23, William Saliba. Yesterday, saw a nice video of the French team, the French sort of team meeting coming out with a surprise birthday cake for him and all singing happy birthday, and Saliba got up and did a little bit of a speech. Hopefully he does get a start on Tuesday. I agree, he's obviously he hasn't transferred his club form to the international stage yet, and he has not exactly convinced when he has played for France, but I think sometimes you just need your backup manager to feel confident, to feel at home, and I'm not sure he's had that yet from Deschamps. So it'll be interesting. Look, from an Arsenal point of view, I'm quite happy he's sitting on the bench for France, to be honest, because it means he's more rested when he comes back to Arsenal. But I think for him and a defender of that quality, if I was French, I'd be desperate to see him in that France side and playing the way he plays for Arsenal, because if he does, there's just very few better centre-backs around in world football right now. So yeah, interesting one to watch nonetheless. And that's it. Bit of a short one for me. I'm off to play golf today, as you can probably tell. So yeah, a bit of a shorter one to me. But thank you very much for watching and listening as usual. And anything you've heard in today's show and you want to respond to, give your opinion on, please do let me know in the comments below, because I'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again. Until then, have a fantastic start to your week, everyone. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.